True.
Yeah. So that's basically it. And so I said to the guy, if this ever happens again, it's going to be 14 iguanas instead of 13.
That's unbelievable.
And hello, welcome to the Average Bros Gym podcast, where your hosts with eerily similar names, Kory and Kory, walk you through fitness, health, and life advice, which seeks to meet you where you're at. No polarizing black and white takes. At least sometimes we've got some like different shades of black and white.
There we go.
Some like
shades of gray,
eggshell. Some off-white takes, but shades of gray for the most part. And we don't threaten you, though. We won't do that. I might.
With iguanas. Yeah.
Wait till you hear the backstory about that story that didn't actually happen. And no telling you the only way to do things. We'll never do that, because there's so many ways to do things, Kory. Why would we say one way? There's so many ways to do things. Just genuine advice and good conversation. And that was a kind of like a little ad-libbed version of that intro that I read from my phone.
But it was good, though.
And we're back, y'all. It's been a hot minute.
It has been.
It's been a little bit of time. At one point, the goal was weekly episodes.
Yes.
We started this podcast in December. And if you know anything about Minnesota in the wintertime, the days are about 4 hours long. It's damn near to Alaska. And it's cold outside. I mean, we both stay active, but there's not a ton to do. You know what I mean? Both of us were, you were not in a serious relationship as of yet, I don't believe, in December 2023.
In December of 2020.
Yeah.
2023.
You and Michaela dating? Maybe just started dating in 2023, December?
It would have been in October, because we're coming up on our 1 year.
Okay, so maybe we weren't like serious, but yeah.
Yeah.
Meg and I were, we started dating in May. So that was 5 plus 1.
Carry the...
So that was about 7-ish months. So yeah, we were getting a little more serious. I mean, we're at that point for sure. But life happens. Summer happens in Minnesota. Summer is very crazy. And Kory and I, Kory, you changed jobs, things like that too. So it's been a little wild, but we're back at it again. So we're going to have like pretty much weekly episodes, sometimes bi-weekly. But either way, you're getting some good stuff.
Well, you get some big life events that happen in there too. And, you just naturally got to take some time for it. Like just this last weekend, had little bro's wedding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Tell us about your little brother's wedding, who I thought was your older brother for like a year.
Dude, every single time I show anybody a photo of my little brother, everybody assumes that he is my older brother.
Yeah,
for sure.
You just have like a younger looking face, kind of.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, like not like in general, but like younger than your brother. Like you still look like a man, Kory. Don't worry. But like, just a little bit younger than your brother, I guess.
Well, my brother, he's just like a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller. But I think really what sets him apart is two things. One, his beard, which now if you were to look at his beard back in the day in high school when he had it, was just this fire engine red that I believe he got probably from my grandmother. And then now over the course of the last several years, it is slowly starting to take a little bit more white in that beard, which is just, it's a cool looking beard, but naturally if you see a little bit of white in the beard, you just assume, okay, you're probably a little bit older. And then I also think it's a little bit more of his personality too. He's a little bit more gruff, stern, whatever's on his mind, he'll be shouting it right out his mouth, and is not necessarily, I would say, like as playful or energetic maybe as I am. So I just think those two things kind of add up a little bit more. But yeah, always is assumed to be the older one out of my brother and I.
Do you not have any gray hairs in your beard?
I don't think so. I got a lot of like red actually on like the side when like the sun hits it, kind of starts glistening a little bit. But
it must be nice. No gray hairs in the beard. All right.
Yet. I mean, I am slowly coming up on 31, so who knows when those will start rearing their head.
You're a Scorpio.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But yeah, no, little brother's wedding though, it was a blast. It was just this last weekend down in La Crescent, which is just about 40 minutes away from Winona. So
I believe you mean La Crescent.
La Crescent.
I don't know.
Oh, I actually kind of did that. Not too bad.
That's pretty good.
You're the one that's usually good with the accents.
You've just been spending too much time around me is what it is.
Yeah, that might be. Not enough. Not enough. Yeah, see?
See? Okay. All right, tell us about this dang wedding you were in.
Oh, my goodness. It had been something that we'd been looking forward to for months. I mean, it doesn't really seem real. Like, we were speaking of Christmas, and it was just this last Christmas that my brother gifted me a mug that was for the best man. So that's how I found out that I was his best man for the wedding and that they were getting engaged and that I was selected to be the best man. And then after that, months go by and you know that it's on the calendar, but it doesn't quite seem real. Like they're the ones doing all the planning. The only thing I had to prep for was just a best man speech, which we'll get to that later. Crushed it.
Nice. Nailed it.
But yeah, finally, it was just nice to be able to take some time to go back home, reset. I took like an extended weekend just to be able to spend with the family. We had obviously for the wedding so much extended family that came in for the occasion as well. And then the venue was absolutely beautiful. Again, La Croissant, Minnesota.
Good, yeah.
A place called the Big Red Barn, and just overlooked the rolling bluffs and hills of Minnesota, if you're familiar, and especially down in the Winona area. It's absolutely beautiful. And had a perfect day weather-wise, just a little bit of rain in the morning, but then later on in the afternoon for the actual ceremony, the sun started poking out, and it was just that perfect type of sun where it just kissed your skin, warmed you up a little bit. And
right, you should be writing poetry.
I should.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Let's go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how was this speech that you supposedly crushed?
I did crush it. I was prepping for that one.
I was not supposedly. I fucking did.
I fucking crushed it. I was told, at least anyways, after the speech was done, multiple people came up and were kind enough to just be able to extend their, gratitude. They were like, oh my gosh, that was, such a lovely speech. You captured your brother, so perfectly, which is what I wanted to do. And the relationship between he and Zoe, his now wife. So that was something that I was really looking forward to. So took the time accordingly to be able to prep myself for it. And it was one of those where once I realized what you're doing in a speech, if you kind of remember back in high school when you were in speech class, and the speech, by the time you are giving it and by the time you're done, you just feel as though you just went through a time warp. You're like, did I even say everything that I needed to? Because you're just in this heightened state of, I don't know, psychological and physiological like arousal that you're like, you go into like a panic almost. But while I was delivering it, I had those little note sections in your phone where it was like, pause, breathe, just to give yourself a little bit of like time, so you're not just like rattling things off. But yeah, the speech kind of centered around my brother's like three passions. And I kind of spoke about the three passions, one of which being first and foremost his beard, which, mind you, if you don't know my brother, he has had this beard since high school. There was, I guarantee, at least half of that room that came to the wedding that have not seen him without a beard. And so touched about that. His passion for motorcycles and bikes, growing up, told a little couple stories about that. And then lastly, his two dogs. And I tied those all in together, that the only thing that he is more passionate about or loves more than his beard and his bikes and his dogs would be that of Zoe. And so it was just a nice little tie-in, and went just as well as I hoped it would.
Good.
Mm-hmm. And then
I love that.
Other than that, I mean, it was perfect. I made this nice little Instagram reel that you should check out. Go give us a follow. And,
go follow Kory's personal page too.
I suppose. I mean, it was like not necessarily that it'll be thrown up on the Average Bros Gym podcast page, but it was just cool. They're some of my favorite photos. I don't think there will be a better photo of my brother and I. And then I got this kind of reel going with all the groomsmen and everybody else. So it was just one of those where I'm glad I was able to capture also a photo to kind of go along with those memories, for that entire weekend, which was, again, just perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever given a best man speech?
No. What the fuck? Why not? Why haven't I? That's a good question. No, I haven't. So I was in I think I would talk about this the other last episode. Yeah, no, I was at a wedding recently. I think at the very end of August, I believe it was August 30th. And yeah, you can kind of tell when people are delivering their speeches if they're used to talking in front of others, right? Yeah. It's a skill that we take for granted as, instructors, coaches, things like that, because we're used to it. Talking, maybe not like, in front of 100 people, but...
And large groups, though, for sure. Talking
in front of large groups, and so we kind of take that skill for granted. And then you realize, okay, I guess like a lot of people don't do this, you know what I mean, for their jobs, their careers. So yeah, we're pretty good for that. No, I haven't not given a speech. My brother is unmarried. I haven't given my own speech. I could. Yeah, I could give my own best man speech. Haven't done that yet. I am also unmarried, so yeah, no, like, I haven't been at that level yet, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So
That'll come.
yeah,
It'll come.
I'm not in a rush. It's fine.
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna sit there at the table and enjoy my food and not give it the speech. But no, it's fun. I think, like, especially when you have, like, when people know you when you have, like, that community aspect to it too, and people kind of, like, have have that connection to the bride and groom. I think that makes it very, very special too. You know what I mean? I guess that's why everybody has their own way of inviting others. And you have your extended family that, like, your parents, you have to invite grandma, aunt, whoever. And it's like, haven't seen her in 17 years, but sure. So it's nice when you have a little bit more of that, like, kind of like intimate feel to it. So
yeah. Well, and that was one of the nice parts, is when I was giving my speech and just picking a few people out in the room that I recognized their faces, of whichever extended family that it would be, just to make yourself feel a little bit more comfortable. And then, I remember picking that back up in high school for speech class, which was coincidentally also one of my favorite classes back in high school. I loved presenting and, kind of getting up there.
You love talking? What? No.
Whoa. Right. I know. Yeah. What a shocker.
Same.
But that was one thing I remembered, like, picking out my professor at the time, Mr. Wilkin, told, like, pick a couple of people out in the room, but, like, on different sections of the room, so that you would kind of turn and it looks like you're addressing everybody rather than just, like, picking a point on the back of the wall or looking down at the floor, and just kind of makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. And it's just incredible how those little tips and tricks can just make you feel so much more at ease when you're up and you feel as though, like, you're hyperventilating in front of the mic and everything,
I notice that mostly when I'm coaching class and I'm looking at the rowers. Because the rowers are all facing you versus, if you've never been to an Orange Theory class or a group fitness class, I mean, sometimes when you're talking, no one's fucking looking at you. And that's just the way it is. I usually try to yell at them a little bit and say, hey, I'm a Virgo. I need attention. Look at me.
I've heard that line. Yeah.
Yeah. You have it's Virgo season for like 1 more, 2 more days. So there you go.
Soak it in.
Shout out to all you upcoming Libras. Get ready for your time. But yeah, that's what I do when I'm talking to the rowers, at least, because they're all facing me because they're seated on a rower. They can't go anywhere. So I'm like, hey guys, here's the go. But yeah, you picked out those people around. So that's always nice.
Well, so speaking of that, like you were saying, the
Libra
rowers
season or the rowers?
Well, the rowers in particular, because
are we going to talk about Libra season at some point?
Well, we can get there. Okay. Yeah. Well, because the rowers, they, like, you made a really interesting point, which they are seated. They can't go anywhere. They're not necessarily distracted, like looking up at a screen. Like, they're only looking straight forward. Right. So at a wedding, when in your mind do the maid of honor and the best man give their speech? Is it before dinner? Is it kind of during dinner? Is it after dinner? Just out of curiosity, like, when you think of a wedding, when do they generally give their speeches?
I feel like there's a right answer to this, and I don't know it.
See, I don't know either. This was just like just a genuine question that I had on the wedding day.
Yeah,
that I posed to my brother and Zoe. Is like, hey, by the way, like, when are we doing our speeches? Because I wasn't informed. I wasn't told. I don't know if they really had like a wedding coordinator.
Well, someone's going to correct me in the comments. But I'm like, I'm thinking. I feel like when we did it, it was like the last wedding I was in, or I was at, I guess, which is, I think it was like kind of during dinner.
Okay.
I think like we or like dinner had kind of like settled down. I think they give you like 15 minutes or so to eat, and then you kind of do it afterwards.
Okay.
Or it might have been before. I honestly don't know. I've got such a fucking bad memory. That's why I think I have ADHD. Well, that's a lot of reasons why I think I have ADHD, but
because when I was at the weddings that I have gone to previously, the maid of honor and the best man gave their speeches like right before dinner, from what I remember, which made sense to me, because then everyone's seated down. Everyone's pretty much on their best behavior because they haven't been fed yet.
Yeah,
right?
Everybody's still paying attention.
Yeah, still paying attention.
Yeah.
And so before dinner was served, I had asked, okay, well, when are we doing our speeches? Just so I can mentally kind of prepare and prep myself. And then I was informed that it would be after dinner. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Makes sense. And so we had the head table, all gotten our food. Everyone in the room. Then afterwards, all the guests and attendees,
All the peasants.
all the peasants, uncultured swine.
All those peasants. Look at us in our table, our wedding party table. We get our food first.
It was really good food too. We had some like pulled pork sandwiches, and there was some like really good chicken that we had. It was a solid meal. My brother and Zoe, they did well. But after
Good job.
all the guests had been fed, then one of the DJs made like an announcement like, hey, if you want to go, yeah, we had a DJ and they were actually pretty good. They made an announcement like, hey, if you want to go get seconds and everything else. But at that point,
I'm just picturing like Tiesto, like fucking, all right, everybody.
they made the announcement to like go get seconds. And then at that point, there was a lot of people who, started to leave the venue. They weren't going to stay for like the after party or for like the dances. I was like, oh, well, that's a little bit of a bummer, right? Because we haven't even given our speeches yet, the maid of honor or I. And so we actually had a lot of extended family and friends who I would have enjoyed their staying at the venue to be able to hear those speeches.
They left,
and they ended up like leaving. So about like half of the people,
wow.
it was a significant number. I might be over exaggerating on half, but there was a significant number of people that had actually left prior to us giving our speeches.
Invited to the wedding. Invited to the wedding.
Well,
you get a plate of food,
and then boom.
And they're out like what, an hour?
It wasn't even an hour. Like they had gotten fed. And then a lot of people started to leave. And it wasn't like we were super late in the night. It was only about like maybe 6, 7 o'clock.
Going. Yeah, bingo later. Like,
exactly.
What, you got to get back for the game.
Saturday night. Do you have anything more fun than being at a wedding with all of these fun people? And you got drinks coming, and you got a dance floor, and it's a beautiful venue.
Bro, it's week 2. Alabama is playing Mississippi Valley State. They got to watch that.
56 to like 3 stomping. But the maid of honor, Jordan.
Go Delta Devils. Sorry.
I felt bad because as the DJ made yet another announcement saying like, hey, we're going to be now doing the speeches. Jordan, the maid of honor of Zoe, started to give her speech, and there was still like a bunch of people that were chatting like off to the side behind us. At the head table, we had a bunch of like games that were in the grass behind our table, like bags and golf ladder and all that kind of stuff. And there was like kids playing back there. There was some people chatting. There was people that were still like leaving the venue. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of shitty. Like you would want everyone's like undivided attention to be able to hear this story. Hopefully, right?
Triggered. I would have stood up and been like, hey, shut the fuck up and sit in your seats. Like it's my wedding, goddammit.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There was in Zoe and Kyle, they're so just chill. They're like, oh, whatever, I guess. And
no. They need, oh my God.
Well, no, that's where I got up. And then I like once I got on the mic, and then I've got a voice just like you do, where it just projects very well. It kind of gets everybody's attention. Like as soon as I got the mic then to do my speech right after Jordan, who gave a lovely speech, but she didn't really project into the mic as much, so it kind of cut out. And then with all the other distractions going on, it was just like, oh, that's a little rough. But then once I got on the mic, then everybody stopped playing games.
This guy must be a podcaster.
They're like, yo, let's go. We could hear this guy talk for a while. Not tooting my own horn, but it was just kind of one of the funny moments from the wedding to go along with several others that occurred during the night. One of which was my brother getting pretty blitzed.
Yeah, well, it's wedding night.
It is wedding night, yeah. Which my brother doesn't really drink all that much, so a couple twisted teas, and then he got fed a good handful of shots from some coworkers later on the evening that then put him well over the edge, which is really funny.
Yes, good for him.
Yeah, it was good.
Was he okay in the morning?
Surprisingly, yes. Wow. Surprisingly, I mean, like we had Michaela and I after dinner and after we were doing a bunch of dancing, we were pretty tired at that point. It's a long day naturally, and we just took a quick little like walk around the venue. And by the time that we got back, my cousin Rachel came up to me and was like, "Hey, you're driving Kyle and Zoe home tonight, right?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You should go get the car now." I was like, what?
They're done. Yeah. They should not be getting allowed anymore.
Well, and Zoe was fine. What I came to find out after we went and got the car and I got back, I popped out of the car and turned around and I see my brother walking up with his arm around the shoulder of my cousin, and he's kind of stumbling along. You can tell Rachel's kind of supporting him a little bit, and I can just hear my brother just turning over to Rachel and just be like, "I love you, Rachel."
Yeah.
It was really cute. It was really cute. by the time we got him back home, it was like a 40-minute drive back to Winona. I had to help him, get back into his house, helped him undress, get his shoes and stuff off. And there was this one really tender, beautiful moment that will just always stick with me. So I'm helping my brother, undo his shoes. And my brother is once you do get a good couple cocktails in him, that's when he really just kind of lets loose a little bit. And you can see his more just jovial, happy kind of side come out. Not that it's, not always there, but you get a couple shots in you, that I think it brings out the best in almost anybody. My brother definitely. And so as I'm helping him get his shoes undone, Zoe is right in front of us and she's got this beautiful wedding dress on. And my brother just kind of looks up and he just looks at Zoe and is just like, you're so beautiful. And I was like, oh, just what a perfect way to just kind of wrap up the night, And then the next morning they all, come on up. And I was surprisingly, he was doing pretty well. I thought he would be in bed for quite some time, but he took it like a champ. Took it like a champ.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, like sunglasses and hat and just like sipping some.
I will say he was sipping water, which normally at that, that time of the hour, he's usually got like a Monster or something like that in hand. But I think he was like, hey, let's start staying hydrated.
Yeah. Well, Monster makes like hydration, don't they? Like some sort of like hydration drink.
Yeah, probably.
Something like that.
I feel like every company like that probably has one.
Yeah,
Prime
they do at some point.
Or whatever it is.
Oh, there's so many of those, so many out there.
They are tasty though.
That's a good segue. Let's talk about that.
What, hydration?
Well, yeah, hydration, beverages, blends, brands, all fun stuff. Well, let's put a cap in it. That sounds like an amazing wedding.
It was. It really was.
Sounds like it was fun to be part of.
Yes, absolutely.
I must have lost my invite in the mail.
I think so.
Yeah.
I must have just spelled your last name wrong.
I'm surprised that you took Michaela as your plus one and not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of a flip of the coin. It just happened to, roll of the dice.
I say that, but I feel
close runner up. You got that silver medal.
Yeah, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to play something during this break in editing, and then we'll come back. So in real time, we're not taking any break, but you're going to think we are.
Yep.
In 3, 2, and 1. And we're back, and we're talking about, I don't know, we're gonna like keep going, but like I don't know. So you mentioned some brands. We started talking about Monster, energy drinks. You have been known in the past to just absolutely rail pre-workout?
Yeah.
As have I.
Yeah.
As have I. As I open a beer.
Nice.
What is your current what's your current like caffeine or like pre-workout or like supplement regime? Do you have one? We've talked to, I believe episode like 12 or 13, we did like which supplements actually worked. We just talked about like protein, creatine, caffeine essentially.
Yep.
But then, those are just the big supplements. And then you also have like the brands and the proprietary blends and is like who's making what and pre-workouts and blah, 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 blah. What's your stack? Do you have a stack?
What's my stack?
Right now, I remember people used to call it a stack.
I think they still do, but
oh god,
I don't know if I would really consider if I have a stack. Like, I take. I don't even take like a protein supplement, to be honest. No,
all food.
I used to, just all food. But for like pre-workout and stuff, I've just been really hooked on Ghost energy drinks lately. Yeah, they've just been really doing it for me.
And those are 200 milligrams.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite flavor of Ghost energy drinks?
The red one, the blue one, the pink one. Those are usually the top 3. After that, then it's kind of like
flavors.
Nah, well, because then it always goes into like some crazy like it's a blue unicorn and then like it's like red rainbow or maybe not red rainbow, but yeah. Yeah. I just know the can of the color, but it's usually been Ghost. My brother, he's like a steadfast monster nut. I don't necessarily have any allegiances towards one, but as of late, like in the last several months, it's definitely been Ghost.
Okay. Well, Alani New supplied us with about 100 cans for our dry try tomorrow.
Holy shit.
Orange Theory. So, Alani New.
Alani. I've had those, but I don't.
So I'm a big fan right now. I my first time trying pre-workout, it was the BSN supplements and NO Explode.
Okay.
Right. And it was like, this was back in the 2006. And it was like, there was one guy, I think I talked about him before, but there was one guy in high school that was like kind of skinny and he started like taking pre-workout and started lifting a lot. And we started getting like really jacked. So we were all like, oh, we got to take pre-workout. And really it was just because he was lifting more. But
Yeah.
you know, I mean, but
at that point, you're so impressionable. You're like, it's got to be.
Got to be the blue raspberry.
Yep.
I know, explode. Okay, so my favorite, the ghost flavors, the ghost ones that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I like the Warheads flavors, the sour Warheads.
Oh, Michaela loves that one.
We got two. I think they've got two. It might just be with the one, but they've got the Warheads flavors. Those are really good. The one thing's like a watermelon or something like that.
Yep.
They do have the sour pink lemonade as well.
That's another. Oh, you do? Yeah, you knew all these.
Bro, I got you. So it's not a Warheads one, but it's just a sour. Like I'm a big tart guy. I like tart.
They're Sour Patch Kids. That's what it is.
That's the one.
I think it's a blue and a red. It's like a Sour Patch. That's probably why I like it, because Sour Patch Kids are just fucking great.
That makes sense.
Goat candy.
That checks out.
Mm-hmm.
So those, I do like those ones. So it is fall right now. So Ghost Energy, you've been drinking those.
Yeah.
Those are about 200 milligrams of caffeine. I mean, it's probably like a little bit, like it's probably like maybe about twice the amount of cup of coffee, but maybe not quite twice, depending on what you're having.
How big's your cup? Yeah.
Yeah. If you're having like a latte or having some espresso, thinking about me every night. Oh, me espresso. Sorry. Love that song.
That's a good one. It is catchy.
It is catchy, and it's it's been out for a while, but I'm still digging it.
It's like same thing with like Lil Boo Thang. You're my little boo thing. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I don't know the actual lyrics clearly.
Isn't it weird how it's like you start doing that, you just get the rhythm down or whatever, and then just eventually over time you're like, how the fuck do I know all these lyrics?
We're musical creatures, brother.
It's so weird. In like all the songs that are just somehow lodged back in some deep core memory.
Well, I could be wrong, but I think you do memorize things better when it's like set to like a rhythm or like a melody almost. Because it stands out more as like attention grabbing versus like think of someone just like me talking monotone right now. Or if I was like, 200 milligrams of caffeine is right about twice amount of cup of coffee. Maybe you're not going to remember that.
Maybe.
You're going to remember that for all the bad reasons. Okay, so that's the ghost drinks that you've been on. Yeah, dude, I haven't been doing. I haven't bought like a powdered pre-workout for a while.
Same.
Meg has Pulse, I think by Legion. She likes that one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and the thing is like do you need pre-workout? No. It helps depending on.
I do.
I fucking do. But like also too, it depends on where you're going to go to bed. Because if you're going to bed at 9, you're taking if you're working at 5, I would not.
Or just like any sort of workout. I see people like just slamming coffees at 3-4 p.m. Yeah. I'm like, damn.
Coffee is like trending now. Like coffee used to be something that only like hipsters and like nerds liked. And
no polarizing black or white takes.
No historical basis for that. Only hipsters and nerds. But now it's like, coffee is like really, really popular and big and big mainstream. And like, I don't know, I'm saying that now, obviously Starbucks has been around for a while and coffee has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. But nerds and hipsters. But people just I'm not going to lie. I've driven past a coffee shop at 2 p.m. and I'm like, I should get coffee. No, I shouldn't. Why did I think that?
Yeah. 2 p.m. is kind of like my border where I'm like, that's about where I'm going to call it. I don't want any sort of caffeine after that. And not that I feel as though I got any sort of detrimental effects or if I'm wearing a Whoop strap where it tracks and logs my sleep and, was that impacted?
Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, for anybody that's having caffeine 3, 4, 5 o'clock at night, I'm like, holy shit.
So you're not wearing your Whoop strap anymore because you used to wear it, right?
I did. Yeah, I just wasn't using the data for as much as what I really wanted to, and there were some days I feel like it would almost kind of fuck with me mentally because I would look at my sleep score, my recovery score. I would wake up and I would potentially just feel great. I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be a good day. And then I look down on my recovery score and then I'm in the red. It's like, oh, you're 23% recovered. I'm like, oh fuck. Okay. Well, so am I not supposed to train now? And it's kind of with most things. I mean, I feel for both you and I who have been training for quite some time, it's your body, do you need to take a little bit of time off? Do you need to throttle down the intensity, or is this something that you can just kind of push through, or fuck it? All right, 23%, whatever. I'm feeling good. So let's go hammer it out.
It's a bad time to announce that we've now been sponsored by Whoop Band. No, that would be nice.
Did you have one?
I'll take any sponsorships. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, so Whoop was really big. So anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I get mad when other podcasts do this, so I want to make sure that I'm explaining. So Whoop is an activity tracker.
Yep.
It is like a wristband. It's not a watch. It doesn't have.
They do have different wearables.
Okay.
The wrist is the most popular one, but they have ones where you can like bring it up and around like your bicep. I believe they have a couple different like locations that you can do. Like I think like Patrick Mahomes, like you'll see he's got like a whoop strap. A lot of times like on his arms where it's like a little pad. I used to wear one for jujitsu too. So, but the whoop strap on the wrist is by far and away the one that you'll see the most.
It's the most visual ones. People know that you're involved in fitness. That is really all it is.
Yeah.
But so it's an activity tracker. It measures
a lot of shit.
Excuse me. It measures, absolutely, your sleep. It measures like like a lot of activity trackers do. They measure sleep and other such things. They measure like REM sleep and deep sleep. But how they do it, I have no idea. But they also look at.
That's for the nerds and hipsters to know.
That's for the fucking nerds while they're drinking their coffees. As I drink in Oktoberfest. And they also do, so they measure like daily activity, what they call strain. Essentially, the harder you're exercising, the harder you move, the harder you're working, they measure it in strain. So you have certain strain levels. They usually have like a range of like a good range. Let's say Kory sleeps 2 hours the other night because he was, up late. Maybe he had caffeine too late. Maybe he was just like, or maybe he's sick or whatever. And so he has 2 hours of sleep and his recovery score is like 2%, like the reddest of the red. And so like, oh, well, he shouldn't work out that day because his recovery is poor, like whatever. They'll give recommendations. But I think what you and I both discovered was like, I got to a point with those bands that I kind of like knew. I was like, I know when I like, if I drink alcohol, I'm going to wake up the next morning not recovered. I know that if I open the morning and I'm up at 3:30 in the morning and I went to bed at like 11, like I'm probably not recovered, right? Like I just started to get to a point where it's like the things that it was telling me I already knew. And I knew that like when I coach, my strain is like 19. Like on days that I exercise and coach, my strain is like 20. So I just like I would know it all the time. So I was like, I don't really need this. And I think it'd be helpful for people who are actually competing in those events because it's like more helpful for them to know. And they can tailor their training around it, but like their life is their training versus like you and I, it's like we were going to go to our jobs regardless. Right.
Yeah.
So, and we weren't training for endurance competition or anything like that at that point. So,
yeah. Well, I think, for like how you said, for if you're like an elite level athlete or if you're a coach who's coaching said elite level athlete, like there's a lot of different numbers and data that are available to you that can inform how to, do that training session and tailor it a little bit more specifically to that athlete. And then for somebody that's just not aware of how those lifestyle and behaviors that they're engaging in on a regular basis dramatically impacts their performance and their recovery, they're like, oh, yeah, if you have a couple beers or if your sleep schedule is a little bit more irregular or if you ate like shit the day before, or if you just had a really high stressful, event go on in your life, like all of those different factors are going to influence your ability to be able to recover and then thus be able to perform or train the next day or, next several days afterwards, which can be very useful for a lot of people to kind of change some of those lifestyle habits and behaviors that they've been readily engaging in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you make a good point where it's like if someone's kind of new to this kind of stuff, that could be a really big boon for them because you're right. It can help you identify behaviors that are not like conducive to your health and wellness. Right. Cause like if you, cause a lot of the times we will, let's say like, you go out drinking, you go out on like a Saturday night, whatever, like, you're not like recovered. Right. But like maybe you didn't understand the, extent of it until you got one of these like activity trackers and you're like, oh man, this is way worse than normal. You know what I mean? And that might help you change some factors. I think it probably helped me a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think ultimately at some point you're just kind of wearing it because it looks cool and you can identify people that also wearing Whoop bands around. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, like nothing against it. It just wasn't like because we did it for a long time, but it's also a monthly payment. And so it's like, would I rather pay for Netflix twice over or the Whoop band? Who knows,
Well, and that's kind of what it turned into for me as well, where it's like, all right, I have it. I don't really use the data as readily as what I should, or it could inform my training habits. I don't know, still just kind of going about my regular training regardless. But at some point it just kind of became that subscription that you just never really got around to canceling, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, it's like whatever kind of like allotment of money. I think it was like maybe like $30 a month or something. And then eventually I was like, okay, just fucking sorry, you're not using this, just finally cut it. But that was like probably 7 months later than what it really needed to be.
Yeah. Well, I was a sucker too, because like you can get the normal Whoop band, which just looks like a black strap and like a black little buckle.
Yep.
And that looks fine. It looks cool. But I was like, I'm gonna get the gold
Dude,
buckle.
they hit you
like,
with those
like,
upgrades,
those accessories though.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I'm a sucker for that shit.
Yep.
And like, you know, I just paid off one of my credit cards, and you know,
Nice, good for you.
probably why. I was, you know, like I'm sure, like, you know, Meg's gonna listen to this, be like, yeah, you are a fucking sucker for accessories. And I am that, like, that gold buckle, like that black strap, or like, you know, you gotta get like sometimes like the white looks really cool, like in the summertime when you're a tan. But yeah, so it was a good cut for me to make. Even like, but I will say,
oh no, I was gonna say, I wonder what the data would say for games like, I don't know, Subway Surfers, or I look at Snapchat and how it's like you can create your avatar, but then you can also pay to get the, you know, different shirt or shoes or something like that. I noticed that when I re-downloaded Snapchat, because that's like one of the only person I snap is Michaela.
Oh, that's cute.
It is pretty cute. But when I was like creating my avatar, I just noticed noticed that it was like, as I'm creating this, and you get to pick out your jeans or your shirt or whatever. But then there was other ones that you could pay for, but you'd have to, you know, buy the
premium.
Yeah. And I'm just like, how many people do that?
A lot.
I would imagine a lot.
Yeah, because microtransactions.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah,
or like video games. I mean, how much money is generated from that?
So
like,
much.
I don't even know if I want to know the figure.
It's a lot of money.
You know, another figure that I just saw the other day?
Oh dear.
Yeah, this one kind of shocked me. I mean, I verify my sources, but it was something like in 2023, the amount of money generated by OnlyFans. I don't know what you'd want to call them. OnlyFans performers, entertainers, whatever term you want to throw on it. They totaled more revenue generated than that of the entire salary for the NBA. Like of like some $1 billion. I was like,
broader fan base,
shit.
Broader fan appeal.
But isn't that nuts?
It is pretty crazy.
That's very new.
It's crazy, and it's you know, the thing is, it's like this goes into the whole something else, and like I've always been of the opinion of like, if people want to pay for this, and it's all on the up and up, and it's like, you know, no one's hurting anybody, and people are willingly giving their money to the creators. Good for them. Fuck. I mean, like, I don't know. Like,
I'm with you. Yeah. It's astonishing that we're living in a time where somebody out there right now could be some, you know, 22-year-old girl that's selling
or guy.
But let's be honest. What's the ratio there? That's probably, you know what I mean?
It's probably more
women. Like, and
we could fact check ourselves
probably, but you know, she's out there right now and just selling photos of her feet, you know, or goes on and just like wearing some skimpy clothes and
not like photos, Kory,
or whatever it would be,
videos of the feet too,
and you know, making who knows how many thousands of dollars, like potentially over the course of a year, and just for that.
And as someone who now understands a little bit better the work that goes into content creation and developing, you know, a podcast and a social media platform and all those things, I empathize. Good on them. Get their fucking bag, because this shit is hard. Bread. This shit is harder than it looks. It's not just like posting, you know, XYZ. Like this, it's crazy, you know. And I've noticed that since you and I started this.
Oh yeah,
it's been fucking hard, man. Like, just keep like I think of like successful, like something that's successful is like consistent, right?
Yeah.
And we talked at the beginning of the episode how hard that's been. Like consistent, like weekly episodes. Like when we first started, we were recording 2 at a time. I think we both had a little bit more time, so it was a little bit easier to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard. And then like to get something out on social media every like think about like if we were posting like every day, like that would be an ideal cadence. But like how that does not happen. Both of us are not like big social media people. And also, like, this is a side thing. It's not like our main job.
Yeah.
But like, that's tough, man.
Well, and then it's like, you know, you get caught up, I mean, because you have to stay so on top of it, you know, and post and, you know, something new and engaging, and, you know, the creation of the reel. Is it just going to be something that's like, it can't be like a long form video, you know, broken up, something that's going to gain the attention and eyeballs for however long that you want it to be. Yeah. Shit's tough. It's tough.
It is.
I mean, but then again, at the same time, you could go fucking viral. The Haktua girl, And it's just like, bam, all like, look at that trajectory.
That's already kind of done.
Is it though? But like, how much money did she just make off of just that one video? She was in Nashville, Tennessee, or what?
And go and just do something else. You know what I mean?
But like, so at the same time, yes, can you be just like diligent and consistent and post like day after day and try to figure out the algorithm, what's going to gain traction and what tags and whatever else? Yeah. Or I mean, man, like her just hit the fucking jackpot.
Well, it has to be. So I was talking, actually, interestingly enough, I was talking to someone else about this. I believe at Orange Theory, it has to be genuine, right? Because
yes,
it is true. You never know. I think the people that chase that kind of stuff, it's going to come off as disingenuous a lot of the time. And that's why I'm thankful for our conversations here, because like,
totally agree.
I wouldn't say we've had an episode go viral.
No,
we've definitely had episodes that like, exactly. We've had episodes that have more plays than others.
Yeah.
Our first episode has the most plays, probably because I think people just click on episode 1, right? Beginning, which is too bad, because although it's really good, it's lower quality than the rest of ours, because we've developed and bought more shit
ahead of you. It was just like with anything, it's like your first time doing any sort of activity. It's not going to be the best, and then just like over course of time, it just gets a little bit more natural, a little bit more comfortable. Completely.
So it's one of those things where it's like, but at the same time, like if we were like, I think we've done topical. Oh, hello, is Murph wanted to come here?
He's like, yo, guys, come on. Star of the show.
Yeah, Murph is here.
And if you don't know Star of the Show, go and tune in on YouTube just to see the most cute little puppers.
Hello, Murph. Yeah. He smells the Oktoberfest. Hello, Murphy.
That's got to be what it is. But, on that note, it still surprises me, actually, for the amount of times that we have done episodes where people will come up to me, and again, naturally, most often like through the gym, because that's where people are going to hear from it. And they're like, "Hey, by the way, I just wanted to say I listened to one of your episodes," and I'm like, and it took me by surprise a little bit. I'm like, "Oh, awesome! I didn't even know you."
I forgot I had that.
Or it's like I didn't even know you knew that I had one. Like, because it's not something that I'm like, promoting just like in person or like while I'm in class or working with a client, where I'm like, hey, by the way, you should go check our latest drop, like episode 25 or, and it's
I know what you mean. I don't do that either.
Yeah. But it's still, so knowing that I don't do that, for people to still, come across it, or if they just follow along on social media for something that I post and then they go out of their way to listen to an episode, I'm like, oh, that is like, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate you just sharing that.
Yeah, my mom does. Like, my mom does our marketing pretty much. Judy Boudreaux does our marketing, and she's like, "Hey, all my friends should listen to this."
Always a good comment.
Yeah, thanks, Judy, or mom. No, sorry, I called her Judy.
Thanks, Judy.
Yeah, man, it's tough because like, but I think like, we've done topical episodes. It's like when the Super Bowl episode with Travis Kelce and the Andy Reid thing, we did that was more topical. The Andrew Huberman article that came out, that was something that I read one night, and I was like, oh shit, this is a really good thing, because I know that you really enjoyed his content, and like there was so much to that we wanted to talk about it then. And then we've done like Meg and I did like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader episode, right? That was a little fun little gig. Because we just watched that on Netflix, and so it's all we've done topical episodes, but at the same time we do things that are, genuine for us and genuine topics for us, and we've got some more stuff in the pipeline as well. And
even the guests too. Like, I love everyone that we've already had on the podcast, and I looking forward to having them back on, and then new faces coming on and attending as well. It's been I've loved this experience, and it's kind of crazy to think that we're actually like coming up on a full year.
Yeah, we're only about 3 months away now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which is, it's just been such a fun ride already just thus far. And it's just cool to see like where things will, eventually lead to, as well.
Yeah. They're going to lead to Murph. All things lead to Murph.
Yeah. I heard he cracked his tooth.
Oh, he doesn't seem to really think he does. He did. He just shooing away.
So have you ever cracked one?
Have I cracked a tooth?
Yeah, I chipped my front tooth. That shit sucked. By a dog, actually. My parents' dog jumped right up in my face and right on the front tooth.
Nailed me?
Right at the edge.
Oh, God.
Right at the edge.
He's headbutted me one time because I was like peeking over the bed, and he like jumped up and like nailed me in the face. But no, so when I was younger, so one of my teeth is actually it's like a dead tooth. I got a root canal on it when I was younger. And if you're watching YouTube, you might be able to see. And like just do a little smile here, zoom in
to that side.
Yes. But it was because I was walking my childhood dog, and she was like, I don't know, she's like 40, 50 pounds. she was kind of like she was a terrier, but she was like a terrier mix or something.
Yeah.
And Murph is also licking me quite a bit because I worked out earlier and haven't showered yet, so I have a lot of salt on my body. So he's just licking the sweat off right now.
Stevie's the same.
Yeah. So just letting him do his thing. Don't disturb him.
You're like, it feels good.
My arm. It's my arm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
For anybody who's not watching. But yeah. So I forgot what I was going to say. What was I talking about?
Just Murph getting into your elbow crease.
No, not that. That was the side thing.
You're talking about your tooth.
Yes, the tooth. Yeah. So I was walking my dog at the time, Lily, who I got my tattoo for. So that's why I have a Lily tattoo on my chest. And yeah, no, she was running back to the house, and I was kind of like running back with her, like, you know, and she was running back to the house, and she's like rounded the corner, and she was, I mean, I was like a kid at the time, so she wasn't like that much smaller than I was.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even a small dog, if they pull you the right way, they can.
Well, 30. I mean, you said 30 to 40 pounds. I mean,
a little bit more than that.
Because I like Murph's a small dog, but like 30 to 40 pounds, I'm like, okay, you're like a good medium-sized dog.
Yeah, she is. So she was pulling, and like I just slipped on the ice and just smacked my face right in the ground.
Oh shit!
Yeah, right in the concrete. So that was.
Wait, you slipped and fell face first?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Busted my lip open.
So you were running. Oh, how the fuck? Yeah, because you think if you were like running that, you would like fall backwards and crack your head.
It was winter on the ice, and I think it was just like, I don't know, maybe my foot slipped behind me and I just fell forward to my face.
I mean, who knows?
But yeah, so it hit my tooth, and then like it just died, right? Like it just, so they took all the nerves out of it. They did the root canal. So it's just kind of sitting there.
Ouch.
But yeah, I don't know. They say like, and technology might have changed at this point. But they said like, oh yeah, and we could
dentistry.
Yeah, like they can do interior like bleaching essentially, like inside the tooth to like help. But like they were like, well, we can do that, but it doesn't really improve that much.
Oh,
so yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I still bagged a hot girlfriend, so I just fucking whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Tip of the cap there.
I don't know, like my girl. Yeah, I'm still dating someone really hot, so I don't really care. Like it's not my man. I don't barely notice it anymore. I really don't even. Yeah,
It's kind of funny, like those, like once you truly like love someone, you know, all those like perceived imperfections, they just kind of blur out of the way. You know what I mean? Like whatever you may have nitpicked or something about that before, it's like none of that even matters.
You still feel insecurities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But and that person that you care for and that you love, they feel those insecurities as well. But like for you, you're like, I don't care. Like, oh, you have a mole on your neck. I don't know. I don't give a shit. Like whatever.
Oh yeah. No, it is interesting, the things that you focus, that you internalize, and then realize your partner has either never noticed those things,
right? Yeah,
or never, or they don't care, or they find it charming being a part of you. And this is assuming that hopefully everything is going well, and healthy in a relationship. I would say if you have a partner that is critiquing the way you look in certain areas, I mean, there's, I think there's definitely a way to provide feedback, as, for certain things. I don't know, but like, I think that probably have to look at that relationship at that point. But yeah.
Well, because like, how would you navigate that? Or like, what would one of those instances be where you would feel so inclined to like?
I don't even want to think about it. No,
by the way,
I think if you,
because I know what one of mine would be.
If you, what would one of yours be?
Well, and then maybe we'll get onto this to the next episode, like a kind of a little sneak peek for those of you listening and tuning in for next week. But like, for instance, I'm very into health, wellness, physical fitness, and like, let's say my partner, and Michaela she's just as nuts about health and exercise and fitness as me. But like, what would happen if all of a sudden your partner just kind of started letting it go a little bit?
Like stopped exercising?
Stopped exercising, stopped, caring about their, nutritional habits, started maybe like putting on weight or whatever that would be. Like that for me, like then would be at a time where it'd be like, hey, we should probably talk about this.
Yeah. I think, for me, it's like, okay, so like, I know, like exercise and health and wellness is something that we do for ourselves. Right. And for me, I want to look hot for Meg. I want to I want to look the way I want to look. Like it is a very vain approach, but also I think like, it feels good. We want to be moving. It affords me to do other things outside of this. I don't have to like, I'm a little bit less lax with like a nutrition, or I'm a little bit more lax with nutrition because like I'm moving so much.
Yeah.
Right. So like I think just like if you know that your partner loves to do these activities and they stop doing them, I think that's a sign of something greater going on, right?
Yeah.
Like a depression or like a something else going on. And so
Mhm.
it's not maybe the exact act of like, oh yeah, they're like putting on weight, because like we all have women get pregnant, right? Shit
Yeah.
happens, like
Yep.
or like when you become a father or become a parent, like you probably are putting your kid first in a lot of ways.
And rightfully so. Like you
Right.
don't have as much time to allocate to getting to the gym. You're not able to spend as much time, and it's a lot more stressful. So your recovery is a little bit worse, and all those factors, definitely go into
And that
play.
happens in life, you know what I mean? And I think
Mhm.
what's important is that you're still doing activities that bring you that joy and that like help you with that. I think when someone stops doing those things, or just stops, what you were saying is like stop taking care of themselves, essentially.
Mhm.
And I think when someone does that there is something else going deeper on.
Yeah.
There's something deeper going on there, and that can be an issue between partners. Of like, hey, I've noticed that you've stopped doing this, or I've noticed that like this doesn't seem to be as big of an issue for you, or like whatever that conversation looks like.
Mhm.
But that would be something where it's like, then we have to have that conversation. Then we have to have that talk. You know what I mean? And I think like Meg and I have navigated some of that.
Mm.
Okay? Murph is just licking himself. Are you? Is this fine? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where this cord was going, but he's good. All right. Yeah, then that's the conversation you have to have with your partner. And like Meg and I have had some type of conversations like that, like not to that degree.
It's like, yo, you're
But,
playing
like,
so much D&D until like 2 a.m, and your sleep is now getting infected.
Never 2 a.m. No. But like minor things, right? And so I think it's like I think it's when you care about your partner and you care about the relationship, and it's like there will be times where one person is maybe putting in a little bit more effort. Maybe the other person's putting, like, there'll be times where it ebbs and flows. But if you notice that like you're putting in all of the effort and your partner is putting in like none, and it's over an extended period of time, and there's no like discussion, I think that's just
or like making those changes. Like, hey, we agreed that we would, work towards this, or that you would work towards that, and like I'm not seeing those things. It's like, okay, then at that point we got to be a little bit more, Johnny on the spot with that, or like have a little bit more of like a serious discussion as to like what's gonna, result of it. But those topics of conversation are not necessarily the easiest to have, but like that's what's ultimately going to build the relationship, as a whole.
And relationships are conditional. I think like the idea of unconditional love, I think, is this, we're going to get in deep territory here. I don't know if that's really healthy. I think unconditional love is, I don't know. You could look at it a lot of ways, like, because it's like your parents are going to love you, hopefully, no matter what. Like, I think that, and that's something that I've experienced that with my parents. Like, I love them no matter what. But like, I don't have a child of my own, so I can't say like, oh yeah, my kid did this, but I still love them, right? Or like,
but you hear that a lot. Parents always saying it's like, I'm going to love you no matter what.
Yes, and so like unconditional love, I think is possible, because like at the same time, if someone does X, Y, Z, doesn't make them a bad person, doesn't make them less worthy of love. Like, we're all worthy of love, regardless of what we're got going on. But at the same time, like when you're talking about a relationship that you're voluntarily getting into, like parents, like, familial stuff is kind of tough, because familial stuff is like pretty much you didn't, unless you're a parent that wanted to have a child, you didn't ask for, like, you didn't voluntarily get into a relationship with your parents. Like, they are your parents, right? But if we're talking about like a romantic relationship or like a friendship, I mean, like, it's all conditional.
Yeah, exactly. There are conditional aspects to it. I mean, like, that's what's kind of like founded upon. You had like some liked interests, or whatever else. But if you're not meeting or reciprocating in that manner or that fashion, that's going to be tough. I guess I've never really thought about that, especially like when it comes to your partner.
Yeah,
like there are going to be aspects that are going to be conditional, even though I think you're led to believe the fairy tale, like, oh, this is the one, and the like the Cinderella story, and then you're just going to be like infatuated, and then it's the happy ever after. But
no, I think there's definitely some of that like idealism when it comes to relationships, of getting into one, and it's like, oh yeah, nothing else matters but the fact that we love each other, and that's fucking bullshit. Like, love is not enough at all. Like, you could love someone and you two not, like, you could have two partners that love each other a lot, very passionate about each other, but they're terrible for each other.
Yeah, like bad partners together. Yeah.
Like, or like this person, like, it's that kind of like toxic roller coaster up and down. And I think, that could be thrown around quite a bit. But Really, it's like, love is not enough, and that's not a bad thing. Like the relationship, and for me, the real work comes in actually like making it work.
Well, and that's a key word that you just said in there too, work.
Right. Yeah, it's not like you all of a sudden you get in a relationship with someone and then it just is chill, like everything's fine. Because people change, and you
change
like,
as well.
How many people listening to this were in a long-term relationship, and you two just grew apart? And it's one of those things where it's like my longest relationship prior to Meg was like just over a year, basically.
Same.
And there's lots of other things that are going wrong with those ones, but I ultimately, like, you can be in a relationship with someone for 5 years, 6 years, whatever, and you're just growing apart because at the time you were right for each other. Maybe 6 years in, you're not necessarily right for each other anymore because you're changing, you're growing, you're different. And like the couples that are successful, they have a growth trajectory which is parallel with each other. Like they're growing together, and they're growing, like their compatibility is remaining.
Now, is that compatibility remaining due to the amount of work that they're putting in, day in and day out? Because like I think about like the older couples, if it's like the idea of like, if it ain't,
we've been married for 44 years.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's broke, fix it, kind of thing. Like, rather than just like, okay, well, all right, we grew apart, quote unquote. It's like, well, what role did you have to play in that? What role did they have to play in that? And were you willing to make the necessary sacrifices to grow together and continue to choose that person day in and day out, year after year and decade after decade, versus just being like, oh, I want the new shiny toy over here because now you started noticing, or like those little imperfections or whatever little naggy, nitpicky things that they might be doing are now for you becoming a little bit like too much for whatever X, Y, or Z reason. Yeah, it takes way more work than,
and you have to be willing.
Yeah.
The thing is I think, like, when Meg and I moved in together, and this is something that you're experiencing, or I'm sure that you're in the middle of experiencing with Michaela. Maybe not. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like moving in with a partner was the first time I'd ever done it, and it was very different. Because like you're used to putting on kind of like your best face. I mean, and obviously, like, Meg and I were together for a long time before we moved in together, but it wasn't like I was faking anything.
Well, that's definitely a different dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you're dating, you are putting away the other distractions because you're with that person in that moment, right? And if you're not putting away the other distractions, you're probably not dating for much longer. Yeah. And if you're pulling out your phone on the second date and just like scrolling through shit, probably not great. But anyways, so I mean, like, going to living with this person and having shared responsibilities, right? Taking care of Murph, like, typically, I'd help take him out, but that was it, right? Yep. Like, I wasn't taking care of him in other ways. And and then like taking care of the dog, like making sure like the laundry's done, like the dishes, like just cleaning, vacuuming, right? Like dusting. Like,
did you pick up those groceries, for dinner tonight?
Absolutely. Yeah. The grocery stuff, spending time together. That's fucking hard because all of a sudden you're living your life together, and like you forget almost to have these nights unless you intend on it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, but then also, how do you still have your own time?
Yeah.
And so that is definitely, those are all things that, like, if you are not committed to that process and to actually changing yourself and like being willing to grow with that person, then it's not going to work.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. I don't know, the phrase or the term that kind of popped in my head is like the idea of like love is sacrifice, and I think that's like, pretty spot on, at least in my mind, based off of everything that you're talking about. Like, yeah, you might not want to take out the garbage or, help with the dog, taking it outside, but like, that's going to be for the betterment of that relationship and then for you as well. And I can imagine, like, anybody listening right now that's been in a long-term relationship or has been married for years. And I think about my brother embarking on that journey now and making that commitment of, I am committing to you via marriage and making a vow and wearing the ring and all of those things. And it's like, it was such a beautiful moment to be able to see that, like, my brother taking that next step in the relationship with Zoe. It's like, oh, I want that too. But recognizing the amount of work and the amount of sacrifice that's going to be necessary to create a beautiful, long-lasting relationship. You know?
No, it's a good point, and it's challenging to do those things. I mean, like, and learning someone's love language. And I know that kind of sounds silly, and you don't have to like do the exact love language quiz.
What? So there are 5, right?
5 of them.
So acts of service, gifts, physical touch, quality time, right? Is that one? And then what's
gift giving,
acts of service,
words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. Yeah. Yep.
And so those are like, this is the love language stuff. Like, ultimately, you can just ask your partner what really means the most to them, right? Like, they don't need to know the exact 1 of 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I know
your test results.
Yes. What are you? Well, I remember when I was dating someone several years ago. This was 2017-ish, and I remember asking her to do that, and she never did. And like,
I feel like that's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, and
especially early on,
and and we weren't right for each other. And that's fine. And she's a completely fine person. Like, I've talked to her since. Like, it was actually great because when we broke up, she was just clean break. And nice. We just did not talk, and that was honestly perfect. So
that's the way to do it, to be honest.
And prior to that, like, I'm definitely like a giver and like a people pleaser, and like I definitely want to be like really like I want to be liked.
Yeah.
So I think in relationships past, I was just so willing to be like, oh yeah, like, we can still do this or that.
We can still be friends.
It was bad for me because like I was still emotionally attached.
Yeah.
And so her having that in her pocket of like, I'm this person, and just cuts off communication, that was perfect. And honestly, so like, I'm very grateful in that moment to that situation. But like, she ended up like going to my gym like 2 years later, and I was like, oh hey, what's up? Like, it was nothing chill, nothing bad, right? But like, I remember asking her to do that, and she didn't do it, and it was just like, I remember in that moment I was like, I feel like this is not really like, if I'm asking you to do something like that that's like important to me, and I feel like it's going to help our relationship, and you don't do it, like, I feel like that's a big reason. But I know mine is more physical touch, which all the dudes are going to say that because physical touch means we need to fuck all the time, obviously. But for me, it's honestly more like just like cuddling and like just hanging out on the couch and like having those moments. And I think it stems from my childhood too. Like, I was a big like stuffed animal kind of guy. Like, I was just always just like cuddling those stuffed animals. That's why I love Murph so much. He's a big cuddler. But and like, and hers, Meg's, is more acts of service. It's like making your life easier.
No.
Right. Like, that's really big. And like, affirmation too, I think, but like definitely the service of like, trying to do things to help. And so like, for me, I know that she's also like very independent, and sometimes she's like, she just kind of was doing something that needs to be done, and I'm like, no, like, I can do this. Like, just like, sometimes I need to know what needs to be done, because like, I'm just not, my headspace is just not quite there. But so I try to just take care of those small things. And like, there are times where I'm like, hey, like, to be honest, I'm kind of feeling a little bit more insecure, like needy. Well, there are definitely like times where I'm just like more emotional for whatever reason, right? It's like, maybe I'm feeling stressed at work, or maybe, like, I haven't been exercising as much recently, so I've kind of felt like a little bit like, like bodily, like body wise, like, oh my gosh, I'm not really looking the way I want to look, and I think that kind of makes me more like insecure. And so I need that like extra kind of like affirmation of like the physical touch of like, hey, we still find you, try all this stuff, right? And so I brought that up to her before, and she's been like super like, oh my gosh, you're right, like that sounds great, like I can definitely help with this, or like whatever, like super willing, right? And so it's like, you need your partner to do that, because if you know what you need, if you understand your needs, I think that's a huge step, even if you're single, because then when someone's not right for you, like, pretty easily, right? Like, if you know what you need, and you're talking to a person you're on like a second or third date with, and it's like they're very clear they're not going to be able to provide that to you, or like they're not going to, they scoff at it almost, something of that nature, it's like, okay, well, cool, I'm out, because like, I know what I need, and if I'm not going to get this from you, nothing else is going to make that feel better, right? Like, you're always going to want that. So it's like, if your partner's receptive to those things, and like you're receptive to theirs, also it works both ways. Like, I can't be like, hey, Meg, I need more like physical touch, and she's like, cool, awesome, I need more like acts of service. And I'm like, no, you can take your own fucking garbage out. Like, that doesn't work. But I mean, I think that's, you know, you have a good partner that's working for you. So
Well, and I think it also just naturally comes with, like, with age, as you mature, get older, recognize the importance of those things, not only for yourself, but like within a healthy dynamic and in a relationship, and your ability to be able to then communicate accordingly what those needs are and be able to reciprocate that of the other person. I think is something that I've come to appreciate much more. As you know, when you're younger, it's, oh, I find her cute and I find him cute, and you're not necessarily willing to work through some of those things or have those conversations of, like, just like how you said, and we're like, I feel maybe a little insecure about this, or I'm asking for help because, you know, the acts of service thing is like something that's important to me, and not speaking for myself, but in that analogy, and that's something, as this relationship with Michaela has come to evolve and grow, I really appreciate the fact that we're able to sit down and have those uncomfortable conversations. And that's when I know that it's something real. Like, okay, you're willing to get your hands dirty here just as much as I am. And then that not only brings so much more respect towards her, but then also more respect towards the relationship. It makes me love her even more, and like what we're growing towards. And I think that's something that's been more on top of my mind now, as we're coming up to a year, not only on the podcast, but like her and I as well, for like dating. And it's just,
awesome.
It's exciting, you know, it's exciting.
You said your year was in October.
It's coming up. Yeah.
Man, dude, that is the coolest month to have a year anniversary. I'll tell you that much right now.
Is it?
Oh, it's the best month of the year, baby.
I think I just, because it lands in fall is my.
Well, October is the greatest month of spooky season, bro.
It is. It's. I saw you already had decorations going on too. Mm-hmm. Go watch.
We've got our pumpkin.
Go watch Beetlejuice 2.
I haven't. Have you seen it?
No, I saw Beetlejuice for the first time actually just like 2 weeks ago.
I haven't seen the first one either. I have to watch it.
To be honest, I'd give it a solid like 82%, maybe, Rotten Tomatoes.
82. That was so specific of a number.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could fact check and see where it's at. I mean, yeah, it was. Yeah, that's exactly where I would put it. You know, it was worth the watch. I'm not going to come out here and say, like, you know, it was the greatest movie of all time. I'd still probably rate like Hocus Pocus, maybe like right up there with it. But it was actually like a really good movie. Well, I enjoyed it.
And the thing is, a lot of those movies, it's like they're not winning Oscars, but they're cult and they're popular still, because there's so much more. There's value to these movies without them being critically the best, right? Who fucking cares? I don't give a shit what Hollywood thinks.
Yeah.
Again, segue to next episode. We're going to talk a little more about this, but
this will be a good one.
Anyways, no, that's awesome though, man. Yeah, I got to check out Beetlejuice. Sleepy Hollow is one of my favorite like Halloween-esque movies. 1999, Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci.
Nope, not ringing a bell.
What's his face? Cowbell guy. What's his fucking
Christopher Walken?
Christopher Walken. Yeah. He's in it. I mean, not really, but I mean, he doesn't really talk very much or really at all. I don't know if he has any lines, but no, it's a good movie. It's definitely like I just love, I mean, I have the Headless Horseman tattooed to my leg. Like, I just love that story and that aesthetic and that vibe. So that's cool. So
Nightmare Before Christmas. There's another good one.
I actually love that one. Yeah, it's great.
Isn't that the same director for Beetlejuice?
Tim Burton, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think I appreciated about Beetlejuice, because I watched Nightmare Before Christmas and I liked his, I don't even know what you'd call it, like that animation style or
stop motion.
Stop motion. Yeah. And it might be the same thing in Beetlejuice that he kind of uses, but it's just a cool, different, it's not like the super like CGI type stuff that you come to like anytime you see like Marvel and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that looks sick. You know, and that's something that I feel like is like lost a little bit more in cinema.
Well, it's one of the reasons why the first Lord of the Rings trilogy was so excellent.
Dope.
And of course, it did have CGI as well. I mean,
a little bit,
yeah. But the practical effects, the Uruk-hai were actual people with makeup, like that. That it just felt more real and more immersive.
Yep.
God, we're such nerds.
There's another one that is apparently coming out, like In Searcher and Hunt of Gollum, because there was something that I saw where Ian McKellen? Whoever plays Gandalf,
Ian
McKellen,
Sir, he's
yeah.
knighted. Apparently, that makes the difference.
Yeah, fuck that one. That's like when you say like David Attenborough, you're not like, no, it's Sir David Attenborough. Which I guess this would be a good spot to wrap up on. R.I.P. James Earl Jones, just last week. The iconic man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Lion King, and
Simba.
Darth Vader. Who would you choose if you could select one iconic, famous person, dead or alive, to narrate your life? I know I put you just right on the spot now. But we're talking about some pretty iconic people. Ian McKellen, James Earl Jones, Sir David Attenborough.
I'm still doing Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. That's a given.
Ever since I was a young boy, people have liked the sound of my voice.
Dude, he does though. I asked this question as like my question of the day for this. Like, when I found out James Earl Jones passed, that was like the question that I posed for the last like 5 days. I will definitely say that Morgan Freeman has probably been the most popular answer. That along with Sir David Attenborough.
Dude, Lion King, low key, no cap.
God,
like gets me very emotional. It's a great movie.
Well, especially that canyon scene.
The scene that I'm thinking of is when Simba has grown up and he sees his father Mufasa in the clouds and the stars, and he's talking to him. Oh my! I'm getting chills right now.
I see literally the hair standing up on your arms.
Chills on these arms from that scene, that music, that score in the background, has playing that kind of like sad version of the song. Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
That's a very good one.
I respect that answer.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, that being said, again, I said Morgan Freeman, who was not in that movie at all, but that's okay.
Yeah, true, but James Earl Jones though.
Yeah, James Earl Jones. Yeah, R.I.P. James Earl Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's he was probably much bigger before I was, earlier on, before I was born. So I have to go back and watch those movies. I do like going back and watching some older films.
Yeah,
they are very, very interesting to see that time period and kind of see like what was important, what was valued then, and what was shown then.
Yeah.
Versus like, I don't know, I'm not a big movie. Like I use this analogy sometimes because I was in film school briefly, and I was like, yeah, I kind of was in film school for a while, and then I just kind of like, once I stopped doing it, I just didn't really want to watch movies as much. And I think it's like if you eat like a certain food a lot, and then all of a sudden you're just like, I'm sick of this. Or like if you play a sport throughout your youth and then all of a sudden like you're done, you're like, I'm not going to play this sport or watch this sport for a while. So that was kind of me with movies for a while. So
nice.
Also have a very low attention span.
The food thing I don't get because I eat like the same shit every day.
I ate cottage cheese a lot for like a really long time, and then all of a sudden I was sick of it and couldn't eat it.
Whole fat, 1%, 2%.
I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Probably pretty low fat.
Actually, the real question is small curd or big curd.
I don't know. I think it was small curd. I don't know. It's like I went through a phase a long time ago. This was when I was like, oh man, very early college, and I was like cutting down a lot of weight. For whatever reason, I don't know. Trying to get, I think I was like trying to get
shredded.
Well, I think I was trying to like a 6-pack for the first time, and like I just don't like, my body's just.
That's a cool unlock. That's a cool achievement, when you earned it.
My body's just not built that way. Like I was at like 9% body fat, and I still didn't really have visible abs. And I was like, well, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, it's like, why? Fucking who cares? So, anyways, now I just look like this with big arms, and that's all I got.
Yeah, but I still think of that thumbnail.
Oh,
that one. God damn.
I mean, I'm flexing in the right now, but the thing is like everything comes down to genetics all the time. It's like you can build up your muscles, obviously, but like genetically, I'm going to have abs that don't show as much, that aren't as blocky, and I'm going to have like more, I don't know, like
muscle insertions and how long your tendons and all that shit.
But like, I don't know, I've got like small calves and like big biceps, whatever. Fuck it, I'll roll with it. Like
that's a good problem to have. You don't want the opposite. I feel like most people wouldn't want the inverse of that. Like big calves and small biceps.
As long as I lift legs still, the calves are fine. It's like, you know what? The calves aren't very big, but if I'm wearing 5-inch shorts, they can see my thighs. They're like, cool, he squats, no big deal.
That is the correct length of shorts as well.
Yeah.
5-inch inseam. I'm here for it.
Well, the thing is, Kory, is I'm 5'7". If I wear anything longer than 5 inches, I look like a torso with toothpicks.
True.
Especially if I wear small socks, like ankle socks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need, anyway. That's no one's problem but mine. Anyways, everybody, thanks so much for listening to the Average Bros Gym podcast. As you can tell, it's one of our classic episodes where we can go off the rails, but hopefully you can find something in this episode that you resonated with. We'll be back next time. We'll be back next time with more things, and we've got some other people that we want to invite in. You talked about having Cammy over. We talked about having Jenny in as well. Mm-hmm. We got to get some returning guests. Would love to have Ellen and Abby back. Our first 2 guests we had on the show.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a dude at some point.
Oh whoa.
Maybe. I know.
Maybe not. Some in here.
Yeah. Well, see, the idea is so Kory and I being 2 dudes. I don't know. We've tried to like kind of have our guests be more like women, just to provide. Well, one, they're very intelligent and very qualified. and first and foremost. But secondly, provide just a better voice for kind of like different issues and different things like that. And so it's like, it's not just you're listening to two white dudes talk about bearded white guy shit.
It'd be fun too.
It's a very specific subcategory of shit. So we're gonna have some more people on. We've got some other guests lined up. We just got to nail out some details. But yeah, I'll leave Cammy to you, and we'll chat with Jenny together. But it'd be fun. So, anyways, y'all, give us a like at online on YouTube. Follow us, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify. That is a great way to help us grow. Again, we don't care about the algorithm. We don't really know what it is. We're just going to make content and see what happens.
It is an enigma.
We're just going to talk to you guys about stuff, and hopefully you'll like it. And if you don't, that's cool too. You can listen to something else.
Exactly.
And then come back to the next episode.
Exactly.
Yeah, please come back. Dear God, please come back. And then we've got, that's about it. But then we've also got, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Email us at averagebrosgympodcast@gmail.com. Email us your questions. Like if you have things that you want us to cover, you can't be mad when we don't cover them if you don't ask the question.
And there is no stupid question.
There is no stupid question. So ask some questions away. Maybe we can do like an Instagram thing at some point, or like reaching out, finding some questions. But we'd love to hear more about what you are all interested in hearing about, rather than like me talking about my relationship for 20 minutes. But if that's what you want, maybe we can keep doing that. Anyways,
go in.
We can go in deep. We can bring back in. We'll do the whole thing. Let's air our dirty laundry. We don't really have any dirty laundry, actually. I mean, like physically, we do. We're washing that right now, but emotionally, no.
Betting too, good for you.
Oh, betting, yes.
Betting
too. She is so clean. God bless her.
Nothing like getting into some clean sheets.
Anyways, she's amazing. Love her. Anyways, if you want to listen to more about me talk about how much I love my girlfriend, tune in to the next time episode, the Average Bros Gym podcast. Thanks for listening, and I think that's probably a good outro, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, we'll talk soon, y'all. Bye.
Bye.